Hello friends! The Toyota Prius II during the entire production was offered in only one version, with an economical 1.5-liter gasoline unit with a capacity of 77 horsepower and an electric motor with a return of 68 horsepower. The internal combustion engine operates according to the so-called Atkinson cycle, in other words, in a small range of speeds and loads. The total power of the hybrid installation is 110 horsepower, taking into account the addition of the total operating ranges and all losses. All Priuses have an eCVT transmission, in other words, an electronically controlled CVT. It runs smoothly, quietly, and fits perfectly into the overall concept of the car. The Toyota Prius II has a fairly rich equipment: 6 airbags, ESP, and climate control. Some European versions were equipped with satellite navigation. In 2007, they began to offer a very good JBL audio system. Cars that have been in an accident should not be considered at all, since in case of serious accidents, the risk of damage to the battery pack is high. The battery does not tolerate injuries to the block body. In addition, many important nodes are located right behind the front bumper. Even after minor shocks in the forehead, they may no longer function correctly. The car does not like long periods of inactivity. The batteries are very discharged. The Toyota Prius has 2 electrical circuits, one traditional with a conventional 12-volt battery. The other, high voltage, has orange wires connecting a tightly closed group of batteries generating 201.6 volts to the inverter converter, electric motor, and air conditioner. The inverter converter is a device that amplifies and converts the high DC voltage of a battery pack into 3-phase AC, maximum voltage 650 volts. In addition, the inverter converts the alternating current generated by energy recovery into direct current to charge the batteries. The Toyota Prius air conditioning system is a complex that is responsible not only for cooling the interior, but above all for cooling the battery pack, which gets very hot during operation. Cold winters are not terrible for the Prius, but the failure of the air conditioner in the summer can completely immobilize the hybrid. The onboard computer strictly monitors the temperature, preventing overheating, and in extreme cases, blocks the car. Strict monitoring is necessary due to the irreversible reduction in battery life in the event of overheating. In addition, Toyota limited itself to a not too long warranty, 8 years or 160,000 kilometers. With proper care and timely maintenance, the Prius is almost trouble-free and very tenacious. The energy recovery system relieves the braking system during braking. In some instances, factory pads and discs nurse up to 100,000 kilometers. Gasoline engines, just like the electric part, are famous for their reliability. The internal combustion engine has a circuit that does not require maintenance. Typical operations, replacing pads, oil, and shock absorbers, can be performed in any automotive service that has a basic understanding of working with hybrid or electric vehicles. A continuously variable transmission rarely needs to be repaired or replaced. The battery has 28 modules, each of which contains 6 elements. Most often, only 1 or 2 modules fail. This usually happens after 200 to 250,000 kilometers. This is a lot, but not as much as it might seem. Yes, the first generation model had battery life issues, but the next Prius received an upgraded battery that proved to be more durable. Usually it is enough to replace the weakened element. An additional circuit of the cooling system is involved in the cooling of the inverter. After 250 to 300,000 kilometers, the hybrid transmission cooling pump may fail. A number of cars came under a recall campaign to replace a vulnerable pump. The air conditioning system fails most often due to maintenance in irregular service. The air conditioning of the Prius and other hybrids requires a special oil that cannot be mixed with conventional system oil. In addition, you cannot use a filling station that serves different types of air conditioners at the same time. For safety reasons, the onboard computer can immobilize the hybrid even with minor electrical faults. Quite often, the exhaust system begins to corrode, but as a rule, it does not reach through holes. In some instances, yellow spots can be found on the thresholds and under the door seals. After about 250 to 300,000 kilometers, the engine begins to consume oil. This is the result of worn oil scraper piston rings. Theoretically, the motor can be repaired, but in the case of an exorbitant oil burner, it is easier to install a contract engine. To reduce unsprung masses, the hybrid's wheels are made from a magnesium alloy. They are really light, but less resistant to damage, for example, as a result of falling into a hole. The steering rack can knock after passing 250 to 300,000 kilometers. With age, cracks appear on the anthers of the outer CV joints. If the defect is not eliminated in time, then the CV joint itself will have to be changed. In hybrids intended for the American market, after 12 to 15 years, the instrument panel begins to fail. As a rule, the disease is caused by a faulty capacitor. After 10 to 14 years, the glazing of the front optics becomes cloudy. One of the unpleasant features is the low life of incandescent lamps. The replacement operation takes at least half an hour. Access from the front is terrible. Thankfully, the rear is much better. Some owners find water in the small battery compartment. The reason is the cracking of the seam in the gutter of the roof. To eliminate leakage, the seam should be coated with sealant. Important. To repair the transmission, 1 kV electricity is required. Work must be carried out in special gloves. The fact that the power plant is active is indicated by the inscription "Ready" on the instrument panel display. After turning off the ignition, the voltage in the system can be maintained for up to 10 minutes. In the event of an accident, turn off the engine with the power button on the dashboard and take the key 5 meters away from the car. If the power button is not available, open the hood, open all doors, and remove all fuses from the fuse box. Then, disconnect the 12-volt battery. The metal body is effectively insulated from high voltage. A possible breakdown is monitored by a system that reports "Check hybrid system." Information should not be underestimated, although the message may also appear due to other, less dangerous reasons. There are various body parts on the market. There are no new substitutes, but there are many used ones at reasonable prices. For example, a rear tailgate costs about $250. As for the suspension parts, it is much better. You can buy analogs. But it is worth noting that the durability of the chassis is very high, especially at the rear. Even after 100,000 kilometers, shock absorbers, silent blocks, and ball joints retain their excellent physical shape. But the front wheel bearings serve about 100,000 kilometers. They change in assembly with the hub. If you know of other model malfunctions, be sure to write about it.